And good morning. Welcome to Preakness 144. This is Today at the Races presented by Fidelity First. I'm Stan Salter, joined by Tim Tulloch and Acacia Courtney. What a day we had yesterday. The weather was beautiful. We have beautiful weather today. And if today is anything like yesterday, we had a record-setting day yesterday. Over 22 million in handle. That's a record. Over 51,000 in attendance. That's a record. A big day. Let's hope for another record-setting day today.
Absolutely. A big thank you to all of the fans, to all of the horsemen, everybody that made yesterday possible and such a big success. And what fantastic performances by our equine athletes as well.
Yeah, big thank you to the horses because we've been to the races a lot of days, but I've never been to the races on a day where there were so many close finishes with the exception of Shalon, and she ran a track record time, and she was just in another Kofifi. But no, Shalon.
No, Kofefi, 107
yeah.
and change.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway,
Shalon won, Shalon won too.
Races.
Shalon's pretty good too.
So she was pretty good too. Anyway, but great races and what a day.
And talking about the feature yesterday, the Grade 2 Black-Eyed Susan, some of the best 3-year-old fillies in the world, and it was won by a good one. The 8-point of honor won it for Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners and my main man, George Weaver. Javier Castellano, he had a big day. That was his 5th win of the day yesterday for Castellano in the Black-Eyed Susan.
A huge day for him for sure, and he really just put on such big performances, and again, just had the great horses as well. He also rode Covfefe, Dog Tag, a couple of wins for Ellen J. Foxwood, a couple of wins yesterday for Brad Cox as well. So I'm sure we'll be treated to some fantastic performances again today.
Just real quick, a big day for the stallion Curlin. He won the Preakness in 2007. He was 2-time Horse of the Year. He sired the winner of the Grade 2 Black-Eyed Susan Point of Honor, the winner of the Grade 3 Pimlico Special tenfold. He also sired Cordmaker, who was a good 3rd in the Pimlico Special. He wasn't done yet. He sired the winner of the Grade 3 DuPont My Lady Curlin. So Curlin, the stallion, he is rocking and rolling. A big day yesterday. Let's get right to it today here. Let's put Black-Eyed Susan stuff away. Put that on. I don't want to take race 1 away from today.
We can't forget about race
Susan
1.
at the end of the PPs, and here we go. Let's get right to it for Preakness 144. First race post time is 10:30, first of 14 races. The gates are open now. People going into the infield. Tickets still on sale for the infield fest and Turfside Terrace. Go to Preakness.com or just come on out here and go to the ticket window and have yourself a good day here at the second oldest track in the country, home of the Preakness. Let's get right to it here. Improbable is your 5-2 morning line favorite in the Preakness. That's going to be race 13. Here is the Preakness favorite training Friday morning right here at Pimlico.
And Improbable looked good both days he came out, was well within himself, got across the racetrack. As you can see, he's a very professional horse and looked fantastic, as all Bob Baffert's horses usually do.
Yeah, they certainly do. Bob Baffert, this could be his record-setting 8th Preakness victory, which is just crazy. Of course, he took last year's Preakness with Triple Crown winner Justify. He comes right back with Improbable. He's got a big white face like Justify, another chestnut, kind of a little bit of physical similarities between the two. But, hey, I tell you what, maybe he's your favorite, but Improbable has a tough task today with this Preakness field.
I think so.
Yeah.
Tough task. This is a true field.
Yes.
It's a big field, 13-horse field. That's the biggest field since the Preakness, but it's still going to be a true horse race. It's not going to be 20 horses in there bumping all around, all over the place. So a good 13-horse field today for the Preakness.
Yeah, looking forward to that. You've got some live long shots as well, and it just should be a really interesting. It's a good betting race too. And talking about long shots, Stan, we've talked about this storyboard a little bit. You do have the Maiden Bodie Express in there. John Velasquez, for all of his accolades, has not yet won the Preakness Stakes.
Yeah,
and I say yet because we know there's going to be a day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hall of Famer. He's hungry. He wants one. He's on the 9 Bodie Express, a 3-year-old son of Bodie Meister. He was a big second in the Florida Derby with a 96 Beyer speed figure. The Florida Derby was a key race. We caught up with the Hall of Famer, Johnny Velasquez, talking about his mount, Bodie Express, in the Preakness today.
I'm here with John Velasquez, the Preakness Stakes. You're still looking for your first one. You're riding Bodie Express. What do you think?
Well, I mean, he's run well. Obviously, he run really well in the Florida Derby. I'm hoping that he can repeat that race like that, the way he ran in the Florida Derby. Obviously, he was a trouble in the Kentucky Derby. The slab, he seems like he doesn't really like it very much, but hopefully he goes back to that race in the Florida Derby, and hopefully he becomes the winner today.
Well, he's got some speed, so I'm sure you're going to be prominently placed over there. You know, you're one of my favorite jockeys in the whole world. How could you not have a Preakness Stakes win?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been very difficult. And to tell you the truth, don't think I have ridden that much either.
Oh.
You know, because every time we go to Derby and they don't run any good, so they don't come here. So it's been one of those things that been very difficult for me. I don't know why.
Well, maybe this is the week, or this is the day. We'll
This
say.
is the day.
Oh,
Yeah,
good luck.
this is the day.
All right, good stuff there. Ron Nicoletti and Johnny Velasquez, 20-1 on the 9 Bodie Express. I know Nicoletti, he thinks that horse very live today.
It certainly could be. As I said, he's still a maiden, but he's obviously run well. He's kept good company. And I mentioned this, Stan, you and I doing your radio show this morning in the Florida Derby. That pace, they went 1-2 around the track. But, hey, he's got a chance to really prove himself today, and he showed up on some big stages.
And wouldn't that be something if Johnny Velasquez wins his first Preakness Stakes on a maiden?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good. All right, so we have more coverage of the Preakness Race 13 when we get to it, but let's get right to it. Handicapping Race 1. Let's show you a picture of the racing surfaces today. We're fast and firm. The dirt looks perfect. Fast dirt track and a firm turf course. They both look perfect. Let's check out the conditions board. What's the weather, guy? All right, there we go. Mid-70s, cloudy. So a little cloud cover. We don't want you to be too hot out here on Preakness Day, so we have a little cloud cover for you. Fast and firm first race at 10:30. Let's get right to it here. Race 1 will kick off the rolling super high 5. That's a low 15% takeout. A carryover in race 1, a little over 3,000 for the rolling super high 5. Race 1, we're going 5/8 on the turf. Maiden claiming 25,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. I go with the 2 Friendly Fire on top. It's a wide open maiden affair, though. Who do you have on top here, Acacia?
I ended up going with the number 8 Turnstile. I know coming in off a layoff this colt, but by exchange rate, 3 siblings, 1 on the grass. The only turf race was against significantly tougher at Belmont Park, and I've seen Jorge Duarte Jr. getting horses from his mentor, Alan Goldberg, former assistant to Alan Goldberg, giving them some time off, and he just brings them back to the races, spots them well. He did this all winter at Gulfstream. Just looks like a live spot.
Yeah, and I go with the 2 Friendly Fire, as you did, stand for Mike Trombetta, and this one is the second start of his life. His first start was a really nice race, going 5.5 furlongs on the turf, where he got a little late, and you would expect him to get a little late first time out. Gets to turn back to the 5/8 of a mile today. I think that's going to put him straight into the winner's circle.
All right, so it looks like we like some of the same horses there in the opener. Let's turn the page. Race 2 now. If you like the multi-race wagers, we have 5 big ones for you today. Let's show you what we have. Race 2 kicks off a $250,000 guaranteed pick 5. The pick 5s here at Pimlico, an industry low 12% takeout. And there you see the other big ones. Race 6, we kick off a $500,000 guaranteed pick 4. Race 9, a $1 million guaranteed pick 5. And then race 10, a $2 million guaranteed pick 4. Acacia, you have a ticket here for the early pick 5 starting race 2. Let's check it out.
I am. We're going to try to get some money in your pocket here for those big $1 million and $2 million guaranteed wagers a little bit later on. And it starts off with the race. I thought it went through 2 horses, the 5 Liquid Aloha and Sir Brahms. I'm using 2 in the 3rd race. The race that I ended up spreading was the 4th. I thought that was a pretty wide open race. I thought a very tricky race on the turf with some horses trying the grass for the first time. The Jimmy Murphy's in race 5. I'm using 3 there. And then we do have the grade 3 Maryland Sprint. I feel like I might be a little light in that race, just using the 1 New York Central and the 4 Louisville. That's a pretty tricky race, but Always Sunshine is out. I think it's a solid field, but a nice little sequence there with a few stakes in there for a $48 play.
All right, let's take a look here. Race 2, we're going a mile and a 16th on the firm turf course. Nice 12,500 starter allowance, 3 and up. I go with the 6 Sir Brahms on top. Daniel Centeno aboard for Ricky Silliman. Acacia, you have the 5 Liquid Aloha on top.
I've seen this horse quite a bit in South Florida, and it's just such a trier. And it's important to note that those races down in Florida, those $16,000 open claimers, are absolute wars on the turf. Those were some very, very tough fields that he was running against for Jane Sibeli, and she's got him in razor sharp form, gives him a little bit of a layoff. He had the outside post last time, and that's why he was probably such a big price. I remember looking back at that race, and he beat some good horses in there.
And that's exactly why I went with Liquid Aloha. Though, as you mentioned, those races are tough races, those wide open $16,000 races at Gulfstream. The Gulfstream horses have been shipping up to Maryland and running very, very well, and Jane Sibeli is very, very dependable with this type, and this horse has got great form over his last 3 races. He's been very, very good.
All right, so nice starter allowance there in race 2 to kick off that big early pick 5. The stakes action starts in race 3, the first of 9 stake races we have for you on Preakness Day. Race 3 is the Sir Barton, $100,000 stake for 3-year-olds, going a mile and a 16th. the 4 Top Line Growth, another nice 3-year-old in the Kelly Rubley barn. She's live in the Preakness with Always Mining, my top pick. She looks awfully tough here with the 4 Top Line Growth with Julian Pimentel aboard.
Pretty good year is out, so she goes it alone with Top Line Growth, and it could be a very big day for Kelly. Of course, looking to be the first woman trainer to win the Preakness, and she's just done a fantastic job with the stock that she has. This horse was really impressive first time out. He's got to, of course, step up now into stakes competition and get the win, and he's got to face a horse who last time out ran against Grade 2 Company and King for a Day, but I pulled a recent workout for King for a Day from trainer Todd Pletcher, and I think sometimes it's helpful to look at some of the work. Sambier is a graded stakes winner for Pletcher, a King for a Day on the outside, just to get a feel of what kind of horse this is. Look at how big he is. He has a pretty good, seems like a good mind on him coming on off the layoff.
He's coming off the layoff. He's got that nice race at Churchill Downs last November against stakes competition. Todd's really good with these types. And off this layoff, 23%. He's been working well down at Palm Beach Downs. Again, any of those horses coming from the the south to the north, I always give extra consideration. The 4 Top Line Growth. Look, that horse is a nice horse, no question about it. Got an absolute dream trip at Laurel Park when he broke from the fence, got to the fence, and was gone. But, that's a big step. First time against winners in stakes. It's a big ask.
Yeah.
All right, so 5 talented 3-year-olds in the Sir Barton, the 4 Top Line Growth, your second favorite, Pletcher with the favor there, the 3 King for a Day. Let's turn the page here. Race 4. We're back on the turf. We're going 5 furlongs on the turf here in the 4th. Nice first level allowance condition. Filly and Mares 3 and up. I go to the outside here. The 9 Hip Hop in good form right now for John Salzman. Daniel Centeno will ride. Acacia, you have the 5 on top here. Misty on point for Horacio de Paz.
Well, if you remember on my Pick 5 ticket, this was the race I spread. I had a very tough time with this race. I wanted to use Hip Hop. I think that horse is in good form. I think the 12 Salt Pond has a little bit of an outside chance if that horse can get any sort of race flow in her favor. And I did land on Misty on point. I think that the layoff is going to help getting back to her preferred surface of the turf. She's got some races on the go back that could be competitive in here. She's got to step up, but Ricardo Santana Jr. had some great rides yesterday as well, and hopefully he can help her out.
And I wouldn't argue with you. Horacio de Paz is very, very good with these types, but I ended up on the 9 as you did, Stan. Hip Hop, she's a 3-time winner. She's trying the A Other Than Company again for the first time in a while, but the last time she did try A Other Than Company last August, at Laurel Park, she got beat just a zop and ran a good number and a good race. She's won her only race this year at Laurel Park, going 5.5. She gets to turn back to 5/8 of a mile, where she's 2 for 6 and 2 seconds. So I'm going to take Hip Hop with Danny Centeno, who's one of the best turf riders in the Mid-Atlantic region.
All right, so nice big field here. We'll have a big handle in race 4. You'll get a nice price on whoever the favorite is in race 4. It's such a big competitive field. Let's take a look at race 5, the Jimmy Murphy. We're going a mile on the turf, named after an old-time veteran trainer we lost, Jimmy Murphy. He was an awfully good trainer, and he'd be proud of this crop of 3-year-olds here for $100,000 going a mile on the turf. I go with the 5 Real News on top. We have a video spotlight to show you of Real News. Here's this 3-year-old by the Factor. Here's the last race from April 4th down there at Keeneland.
And I thought this was a really good race and an encouraging race because this horse just didn't really have the best trip in here. The winner of that race was Bulletin, who had been in good form, and I thought that coming far on the outside, Real News ended up getting second. See how wide he is there, the number 6, closing just really strongly, really good momentum. I think he's going to be able to handle the stretch out and distance. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the Factor, but this is going to be one of, I think, his better progeny, who really has, I think, an affinity for the turf and showed last time he could compete in this competition.
Well, I think the stretch out's important for him today. But not that big of a stretch from the 5.5 to the mile, and he's going to be more forwardly placed going a mile, so that certainly will help him. I ended up on the 6 War Film, who's comes in here for Steve Asmussen and gets Ricardo Santana, and we know that they know their way to the winner's circle here at Pimlico, and he's coming out of 2 consecutive turf races, 2 consecutive graded stakes, where I thought he ran pretty well, only getting beat a length and a half in his last start and firing a nice Buyer speed figure. His biggest issue is getting away from the gate. He's had some gate issues in the past. Even going a mile, the break is important. Doesn't matter whether you're going 4.5 furlongs or 2 miles, the break is everything. A good break is going to be imperative for War Film.
All right, so top 3-year-olds going long on the turf there in race 5 to Jimmy Murphy. Let's turn the page here. Another big one for you in race 6. We kick off a $500,000 guaranteed pick 4 in race 6. It's the grade 3 Maryland Sprint. I have a pick 4 ticket. Let's take a look, a $36 ticket. I go 3 deep in the Maryland Sprint. The 4 Lewisfield, my top pick, but the 6 Wentz, he's pretty good. And the 7 Pro Forma might get a nice setup to rally into. So I'm 3 deep in the Maryland Sprint. Race 7, the Searching, going a mile and a half on the turf. The Hall of Famer Roger Atfield, he's going to have a popular favorite in there. The 5 Icky Masho looks awfully tough to beat. Race 8 is an allowance race going 6 furlongs to the main track. I'm 4 deep there with the 1-5-6-9. The 1 Articulator, my top pick in race 9. That's wide open. That's the very one for Philly Mares. 100,000 5/8 on the turf. I go 6 deep there with the 1-2-4-6. 8-9. The 9 is my top pick on the outside. Wild About Star with Centeno aboard. 9-2 there on the 9 in race 9. So there's my pick 4 ticket. It's a big one, guaranteed $500,000 pick 4 for this pick 4 starting in race 6. It's the grade 3 Maryland Sprint, 3 and up, $150,000 stake here, going 6 furlongs. My top pick is the Maryland bred, the 4 Lewisfield. Let's show you his video. It's a 5-year-old by Great Notion. He dropped a hammer on him in the Not for Love in March, and then a good second last out in the Frank Whiteley.
Oh, I think we're all such big fans of this horse. I mean, he's been a win machine lately.
He has been a win machine, and I like Lewisfield, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's run 2 consecutive triple-digit buyers. My only issue with Lewisfield, and you look at his races, and it happened to look last time when he faced Lakai, it's the lead or nothing, because if he doesn't get to the front, he doesn't have the same result. So you can expect Lewisfield to be trying to pop the latches and control the whole thing.
That definitely does seem to be the case. Now, I don't know if there might be some pressure early. Wentz is a very fast horse. I have to imagine he's the type that's much more potent on the lead, and they might get a little bit of pressure from Parade of Nations right off of them. That's what led me to take the number 1 New York Central, and I think you're right with me, Tim. This horse comes out of Graded Stakes Company. I think the slight turn back to the 3/4 of a mile is going to suit him well.
Well, that's key, because he's 2 for 2 with the distance. He has not lost going 3/4 of a mile. He gets the turn back. He's coming out of a good race at Keeneland in the Commonwealth at grade 3. He only got beat 3 1/4 lengths for the whole thing, and now he gets to turn back to his favorite distance, 6 furlongs.
All right, grade 3 sprinters in race 6 to kick off that big guaranteed $500,000 pick 4. Race 7, we're going a mile and a half on the firm turf in race 7. It's the $100,000 Searching Stakes. Philly Mares 3 and up. My best bet of the day is in race 7, the 5 Icky Mashu. Since they put her on Lasix back in March down there at Gulfstream, a good second in the grade 3 Very One, and another good second at Gulfstream. She won the grade 3 Bewitched last out, going a mile and a half at Keeneland. Jose Ortiz rides for the Hall of Famer Roger Atfield. We all have the 5 Icky Mashu on top. We caught up with her jockey, Jose Ortiz, one of the best in the country. Here's what he had to say about Icky Mashu.
Joined by jockey Jose Ortiz. Let's start with Icky Masho. You rode this mare last time out at Keeneland. Tell me just about how the trip went and how you think she's developed.
She's developed really good. Have a Hall of Fame trainer as Mr. Atfield. I appreciate the opportunity he gave me to ride this horse. And last time I tried to relax her, sit third, but they were going very slow. And I decided to make a move passing the wire for the first time. And I mean, she's so nice and she held on. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, she just held on there. It was really tough coming down to the wire. How do you think she's going to fare coming into this race?
I think she's going to be nice. Just, long distance. Everybody tried to kind of go slow the first part, and that's when I tried to take advantage and put her where she wants to be, which is in the lead or very near the lead. 1-2. That's her style. That's her game, and I think we should be on the lead if we had a good break.
Good.
All right, so there's jockey Jose Ortiz. He's on the favorite, Icky Mashu. She's well seasoned at the distance. She looks awfully tough here.
Yeah, she does. And to be honest, at the start, I actually tried to pick against her with Homeland Security, and then we had some scratches, and I thought the overall makeup of the race ended up changing. I thought Iki Masho might be a little bit vulnerable. Even talking to Jose at that 1.5-mile race, she was shortening up a little bit in the Bewitch, but he even said he made a premature move with her, and that's what she wants to be. It seems like he's figured her out really well, and I have a soft spot for her because I had her right with Holy Helena at 24-1 at Gulfstream a few races back in the other running of the very one, and she made me look very smart that day.
Look, she's going to be very, very tough. There's no question about it. She's in great form. She can handle the distance, but I wouldn't toss out Homeland Security.
Yeah, she's a tough
Homeland
mare.
Security is going to get back onto a firm turf course, and I think that's key, and that's going to be the only thing that might be able to get her by Iki Mashu. She's been hooking some soft turf courses, gets back to the firm. She's been very good.
All right, Iki Mashu, go to the window, race 7. Let's get a quick commercial break. We still have 7 more races to go, bunch of stakes. We'll take a look right after this.
Thanks for that, guys. There should be a cut version that's like...
Whether you're at home or at the track, have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
All right, welcome back. We've handicapped the first half of the card. Still 7 more races to go. Let's get right to it. Race 8, a nice allowance race going 6 furlongs on the main track. We kick off the Rainbow Pick 6 in race 8. Nice carryover today. It was well played yesterday, and there's the carryover, over 37,000. Acacia, you have a ticket.
I do. We'll take a stab at the ticket. Of course, just a 20-cent play. I went a little bit more expensive than I normally do today because we have a nice carryover. It's a big day. $76.80 play for me. We start things off in this allowance race. I am just using a couple of horses here in that sprint race. We have the very one in race 9, 5 on the turf. That's an exciting race. I used just 2 in there. That is a tricky race. I'm excited to see that. I spread in the Gallarette. We have a really competitive field. I like the way I am at a price, but I couldn't leave off Viva Vegas, who ran very well last time out. The Chick Lang grade 3 is in race number 11. I use a couple of horses there. Preamble looks really good for Rodolphe Brisset, and you've got Pyron for Steve Asmussen. Both of them undefeated. That should be a fun matchup there. We move on to race number 12. Catholic Boy coming back. I did end up trying to pick against him in here, but he's back on the turf. We'll see what we get from him. And then I spread with 4 horses in the Preakness. I think it's going to be a really exciting run, the Preakness. Hopefully we get a price, so I'm going to use a nice little coverage there.
All right, good stuff there. Good luck on your pick 6. Let's just put up our picks real quick here for race 8, and we're going to speed along to race 9. I have the 1 Articulator on top. Tim, you're in agreement with me on the 1. Acacia, you're going with the 9, Over Deliver for trainer Todd Pletcher. So a nice allowance race to kick off that pick 6 in race 8. Let's get back to stakes action here. Race 9 will kick off the guaranteed $1 million pick 5. Starts in race 9, the very one. I have a ticket for this $1 million pick 5. Let's take a look. A $72 ticket. The very one's wide open. I go 6 deep with the 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I think the grade 3 Gallarette is wide open as well. I go 4 deep there with the 1, 2, 3 in the 8. My single here, my key horse on this pick 5 ticket comes in race 11, the grade 3 Chick Lang. I think the 8 Preamble going to be awfully tough to beat in there for trainer Rodolphe Brisset. Race 12, the grade 2 Dixie, 1 mile and 16th on the turf. The 11 Inspector Lindy for the Hall of Famer Shug McGahee, and the 12 Catholic Boy going to be awfully tough. In the grade 1 Preakness, I have the 7 Always Mining on top. The 1 War of Wills look good all week long here at Pimlico, and you have to use the favorite, the 4 Improbable. There's my pick 5 ticket. You can study all of our tickets on the Pimlico.com website underneath the handicapping section. Let's take a look at race 9. 5/8 on the turf. The very one, Philly Mares 3 and up, $100,000 stake. I go to the outside. Daniel Centeno, I think, is going to get a real nice trip on this 5-year-old mare by Star Guitar, the 9, Wild About Star.
Yeah, this horse really could get a good trip. First time in the barn of Jose Camejo, and I think that this horse, is just plain and simple, has been in good form. And you look at that last race, looks bad on paper. She had a world of trouble in there. I think you can totally put a line through it. She's coming back with a little bit of a freshening. I go to the number 6 in here, Jojo Air, who's coming off a win for Wesley Ward, going 5 on the turf at Churchill last time out. John Velasquez aboard. I think that she showed speed last time, but she's one of these Wesley Ward fillies that's not a need the lead type, just has to run out from the rest of the field. I think she's pretty versatile.
Yeah, her biggest issue is the gate. Here's again, she's got to get away. 2 races she didn't get away. She didn't have a good result going 5/8 of a mile on the turf. The break is essential. A good break. I have her on top. She gets away well. I think she gets the job done.
All right, so both Acacia and Tim like the 6 JoJo Air. I go with Centeno on the 9 Wild About Star. Let's take a look at the 10th race. It's the Grade 3 Gallerat filly mares going long on the turf, a mile and a 16th, and this is the big one. If you like multi-race wagers, race 10 kicks off a guaranteed $2 million pick 4. Tim, you have a ticket. Let's check it out.
I have a nice $36 ticket, and we're going to get you this money, $2 million guaranteed, and I spread here in the 10th. I use the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 8 and the 11th. I go 3 deep there using the 3, 7, and 8. 12th, I go 7, 8, 11, and I go 2 deep in the Preakness using the 1 War of Will and the 4 Improbable. $36 ticket. Good luck if you play along in the $2 million guaranteed pick 4.
All right, let's take a look here at race 10. Let's take a look. We have a video spotlight on the 3, The Way I Am. You get the leading rider, Trevor McCarthy, to ride this filly for Graham Motion. Let's take a look at her last race at Gulfstream.
She's my price play of the day. She's going to be a price, and I think that this is the type of filly that sometimes gets overlooked. She is as consistent as they come. She's on the outside there. She was ridden that day by Fergal Lynch, who did a great job on her down in South Florida. She was coming off of an 8-month layoff, and she was beat by a nice filly who was in good form in Lady Joan. I thought it was a really encouraging performance from her. 2 next out winners from that race. I'm thinking I'm going to get a price on her, and she's got some really good races on the go back, including a couple of graded stakes wins.
And I think you will get a price with a couple Chad Brown horses in there. Yeah. You usually do.
All right. So, Tim, you go with Chad Brown, the 2 in flexibility with Castellano. That mare is going to be awfully tough. I go to the outside, the 8 Viva Vegas for my main man, Ignacio Correa. It's good to see you back here in Maryland, Nacho. I think you're live here with the 8 Viva Vegas. Let's turn the page here. Race 11, the Grade 3 Chick Lang going 6 furlongs. Top 3-year-old sprinters here. It's a $200,000 purse. I think the 8 is a lock here. We all like the 8 Preamble, a 3-year-old by Speightstown. Let's show you a work for the 8 Preamble. I think he gets a real nice trip today in the Chick Lang.
Yeah, he's undefeated here. He's working in company with another horse, and he came off of a roughly 6-month layoff with a nice win last time out. I think it's going to serve as a really good bottom underneath of him, especially seeing as it was a 7/8 race.
That's a big race coming off a layoff, going 7/8 of a mile. Now he gets to turn back to 3/4 of a mile, where he's 2 for 2. He's 3 for 3 in his life, and he finds a nice stake to try to get his first stake win.
And that was a real nice work. Yeah, there's plenty of speed to his inside. He's going to get a beautiful stalking trip on the outside with the Frenchman, Florent Giroux. So we all have the 8 Preamble on top in the Chick Lang. Let's take a look at race 12. It's the Grade 2 Dixie going a mile and a 16th on the turf, 3 and up, $250,000 purse. The Dixie is one of the oldest stake races in the country, and we have a big field this year in the Dixie. Let's take a look. Catholic Boy is going to be a favorite. We have a video spotlight to show you. Here's his last turf win last July against Grade 1 Company at Belmont.
He is one of those rare Grade 1 winners on both turf and dirt. He won the Grade 1 Travers as well as the Grade 1 Belmont Derby, and this was his win ahead of Analyze It. It was a big upset this day. He's down on the inside. He came back in a very big, very tenacious performance, and he's a tricky horse. He's definitely had his ups and downs. You look back through his past performances. He bled in the Florida Derby. They gave him time off, came back on the turf, had a couple of graded stakes wins. He had the pace in his favor, certainly in the Travers. Tough trip and a poor performance in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now he's back on the grass. What do we get from Catholic Boy?
Well, you're unsure, and he's coming off a long layoff. He's going to have to go a mile and a 16th off that layoff. John Thomas, he's pretty good off this layoff, 19%, but it's going to be a tough race for him. It's no gimme for Catholic Boy whatsoever. I end up on the 8. Flash Phelps from a long shot, my price pick of the day. This horse is capable better than he ran in his last race. He got in a lot of trouble in that last race. I got Flash Phelps.
I like it.
Victor Carrasco with a stakes win yesterday. I think he's live on Old Flash, a former Maryland-bred champion turf horse of the year. So both Acacia and I in agreement on the 11. Inspector Lindy for the Hall of Famer Shug McGahee, 6-year-old by Lemon Drop Kid. I think that horse is going to run awfully big, but Catholic Boy going to be tough to beat here.
And Inspector Inspector Lindley, I mean, I love that win last time out, and you look through who he's faced. He ran against Bricks and Mortar 2 starts back, but he was only beaten by 3.5 lengths in really tough competition. His win in the Tampa Bay Derby, he faced some tough horses. He beat Divisadero in there. Just the company that he's been keeping, he's got the recency edge in here, I think, as well.
All right, absolutely. All right, so we're on the Hall of Famer Shug McGahee. Tim's going Flash Helps, the 8-year-old for Rodney Jenkins. A nice big field there in the Grade 2. Dixie
I'm excited
Stakes.
about that race.
That's a nice race. It kicks off the final pick 3 of the day of the Dixie, the Preakness, and a nice maiden special weight to wrap it up. Let's turn the page.
I'm excited about this race.
Let's turn the
Let's
page.
get to
Here
this
we go.
race
The
right now.
feature.
Let's go.
Plenty of time to spend on the feature. Middle jewel of the Triple Crown. We all know it's the 3rd Saturday in May here at Pimlico. Race 13 is the Grade 1 Preakness. $1.5 million on the line. 4 straight 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. We have the current odds. Let's go there first. Let's show you the current odds for the Preakness. Now, the 4 Improbable was your morning line favored at 5-2 for the Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. And it looks like Improbable, your co-favored right now with the Maryland bred, the 7 Always Mining. How about that?
I knew that he was going to take a lot of money. What I'm mad about is I thought I was going to get Bourbon War at 12-1, and he's 5-1 right now. I think Eddie Olczyk picked him too, so hopefully he's not driving my price down.
That's the wild card in this race. Bourbon War, I think he's going to run a big race today. Whether it's good enough to win, we'll find out. But
Eddie O gave out his picks in the expressbet.com free Preakness wager, guys. A lot of people are going to be hammering home on Bourbon War. So there's the current odds for Preakness 144. Let's take a look here. We have this race all covered for you. Let's show you the video from the Kentucky Derby. You have the favorite Improbable coming out of the Derby. He was 5th, got put up to 4th. You have War of Will. We all know what happened to him turning for him. Here's the Derby, Acacia.
Yeah, War of Will, inside horses. He had the 1 post in the Kentucky Derby. He has the 1 post again here in the Preakness. I know that was the tough thing for him, but I think a lot of people saying he was really the star of the Kentucky Derby, Tim.
I think he was, and the 1 hole is different here at the Preakness, and then the Derby, you don't have to avoid the inside rail. You break on the rail. But listen, War of Will's trouble started way before the Demolition Derby occurred at the top of the stretch. He was having to tap the brakes all the way down the backstretch. Luis Saez was doing Tyler Gaffney no favors down the backstretch, and he had to say, whoa, 2 or 3 times. He was getting in a little tight. So I think War of Will get a cleaner trip today, a more truly run race.
I'm totally with you because it looked like he had a lot of horse down on the inside with just no place to go. And with 20 horses and a wet track, you're really stuck in a very compromising position. He also had Code of Honor trying to come up his inside in the Kentucky Derby. I do think that Tyler Gaffleone did a great job with him. He had a disappointing performance. He had some trouble certainly with a bit of a cut coming out of the gate there. 2 starts back in the Louisiana Derby. You can forgive him for that. We've been watching him every morning here, and I think he's really been a standout in the mornings. To see a horse come out of the Kentucky Derby, keep their weight and their physical so strong like he has, I think that's a plus for him.
Yeah, no one has trained with more enthusiasm than War of Will this week at Pimlico.
I agree. He has looked great out here. He's a well-bred colt by Warfront trained by the future Hall of Famer Mark Casse. So, Tim, he's the only one of the 3 of us that goes with a Derby starter on top. He has the 1 War of Will on top. I like that horse. Like you said, Tim, he's trained brilliantly this week. I use him in my exacta. Acacia, let's talk about your top pick here. The 2 Bourbon War keeps attracting my interest more and more. First of all, he's by Tatr, so he's supposed to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, he is for sure.
and he ran big in the Fountain of Youth, and he gets blinkers on today, and he gets Irad Ortiz.
He does, and Irad's ridden him in 4 out of its 5 lifetime starts, so he knows this horse very well at this point. He didn't end up with enough points to run in the Kentucky Derby. They wanted to run him in the Derby, so they said, okay, we're going to point to the Preakness, and that's just how things ended up working out. So this has been the plan for him all along. Here's my thinking with Bourbon War. He was pace compromised last time out in the Florida Derby. Maximum Security and Bodie Express went 1-2 around the track. We clearly know that he was running against a good horse. Maximum Security crossing the finish line first in the Kentucky Derby. That was going the 9 furlongs. He just never had a chance to close. Nobody was closing that day. Fountain of Youth, yes, things set up for him. Go back and watch that race again. A mile and a 16th at Gulfstream is the first finish line. If he had the second finish line, he would have been closing a lot stronger. He ran out of real estate, and Code of Honor just got a slight jump on him.
And that's the key, the short stretch at Gulfstream Park can hurt a horse. You've got a big, long stretch here at Pimlico, and this horse has been working well coming into this race. It gets blinkers for the first time today. I think he's going to be up on the engine. And look, at the end of the day, he ran behind the next out winner. Kind of.
All right, so I might have overlooked the live long shot there. The 2 Bourbon War. He's taking some action right now. He's about 5-1. That's Acacia's top pick. All right, let's take a look at my top pick. The 7, Always Mining, the Maryland bred by Stay Thirsty, trained by Kelly Rubley, owned by Runnymede Racing, bred right here in Maryland, not too far from Pimlico, by Ava Pitts. This horse trying to become the first Maryland bred to win the Preakness since Deputa Testimony did it for the Boniface family back in 1983, and I just love the route that they've chosen with this horse. He hasn't missed a beat since December. He had January off, then he came back a big win in the Miraclewood. Then 4 weeks later, a big win in the private terms with a lifetime best 96 Buyer speed figure. Then another 4 weeks, he answered the 9 furlong test in the Tessio, and they also proved that he's not one-dimensional. He proved he has some versatility. Daniel Centeno had to overcome some adversity going into that first clubhouse turn. Some other horse had their mind set on getting the lead, so Centeno had to rate Always Mining, got him to settle good enough, and then got him to the clear down the backstretch, and it was all over. So I don't think Always Mining is a need-to-lead kind of horse. In fact, I don't think he's going to have the early lead. I see the early lead going to the 3, Warriors Charge, who trainer Brad Cox supplemented to this race. They supplemented Warriors Charge just like they did with Rachel Alexander back in 2009. Javier Castellano, 5-win day yesterday. He's pretty confident right now. He's probably going to go right to the front of Warriors Charge. This horse got a big 97 Buyer speed figure in that Oaklawn allowance win. That gave the connections to supplement here. So I think Castellano goes to the front with Warriors Charge. I think Centeno gets a nice stalking trip, either sitting 2nd or 3rd early on with the 7, Always Mining.
And I spoke to Brad Cox the other morning, and he said pretty much exactly that, because he also has Owendale, who's a closer, and he said they're not going to get in each other's way, because Warriors Charge with the post as well. He said we're going to ask him to come out running for sure. Owendale's going to be his horse that's running late, and take nothing away from Owendale. He's been very good. His win in the Lexington was impressive, and he is trained well too, Tim.
Yeah, he has trained very, very well here at Owendale, and so has Warriors Charge. But going back to Always Mining, I think the draw is great. You can't take anything away from it. I love the progression of races, but I think this outside draw is key. Even though he rated off horses in the Tessio, he wasn't too fond of it. He was taking a little kickback, was started to climb a little bit. Danny moved him to the outside into clean air, and then he went on and did his business. But I love the fact we don't know what we don't know. We know this is a nice horse. Yeah. Is he nice enough to get it done here? Well, he's awfully close. The numbers say he's awfully close. He's in awfully good form, but I love the draw for him because Danny can keep him out in the clear and still lay off the pace if he wants to.
All right, so the Maryland bred Always Mining and the 13 win. They both shipped down here from Fair Hill Thursday morning. Acacia, you spent some time up at Fair Hill earlier this week. First of all, you guys did a brilliant feature on Always Mining. How can people go and watch that?
Yeah, that's out on YouTube as well, so be able to see that, because I think that he really has the best, one of the best stories in this Preakness. Got a chance to speak to the owners, Runnymede Racing. They purchased this horse privately, had no idea that he was going to be this good, taking the conservative route to get him here. The breeder, Puppet Pitts, has, I think, just 2 mares here in Maryland, and so she's over the moon about it. Their racing manager, Joe, is just, he says just to have a horse in the Preakness is like a huge honor. So they are all very excited. They're really enjoying this journey, and I know we're all rooting for them in the Maryland bred here.
And who's not a big fan of the Cinderella story?
That's right.
That's right. We love the Cinderella story.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about the other Fair Hill horse real quick. Don't forget about Win. Trainer Mike Trombetta putting the blinkers on this 3-year-old by a hat trick. Julian Pimentel will ride. He was a real good 3rd in the Tampa Bay Derby with a trouble trip, and he was a real good 2nd in the Bluegrass with a trouble trip. I don't think he just didn't like the slop in the Derby. Just forget about that race. He'll bounce back out of that. He's trained well up at Fair Hill. The blinkers go on. on. I think win-win-win's going to be a factor in the final strides here.
He certainly could be, and then I also talked to Mike Trombetta the other day, and he said exactly that he didn't handle the Derby footing at all. He's shown some versatility. He showed a lot more speed at the start of his career, and he thought they were going to sit a little bit more off the pace, but having those blinkers on sometimes can just add a little bit of needed focus towards the end of the race.
Absolutely, and just throughout the last one, stands right on the slop, couldn't handle it. But what else is going to help him is this long stretch. The stretch of Tampa is short again in the bluegrass. Well, he just got a bad trip, period, the end. And he couldn't close anyway, and he finished behind a horse that wasn't going to get beat that day. So that's going to go in Win-Win's favor for Mike Trombetta and Julian Pimentel.
I think we've talked about every horse in this race except for the Hall of Famers. Let's talk about the favorite here, Improbable for the Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. He's trying to win his seventh Preakness?
Eighth. This would be his eighth.
Eighth Preakness. Okay, he tied that Whalen guy from the 1800s last year, right?
Yes,
all right,
he did.
So if he wins the Preakness this year with the favorite, it'll give him a record 8th win in the Preakness.
Yes, Improbable was placed 4th through disqualification last time out in the Kentucky Derby. The fact of the matter is, yes, he's a Grade 1 winner, but that was back in December. He has not won a race since then. He's kept some good company. He was second behind Omaha Beach, who was likely going to be your Kentucky Derby favorite had he run. He ended up scratching before that. I think Improbable is, yes, on paper, given the connections and everything else, the horse to beat. I think he's very vulnerable here.
Well, first of all, he hasn't won a race as a 3-year-old.
Right.
And in the Derby, he was one of the few horses that got a good trip, and he wasn't able to win. Now, we could blame it on the slop a little bit, but he ran a pretty good race at Oaklawn over the sloppy track. But I just think with all the trips that the other horses got and the trip he got, that should have been good enough for him to win, and he didn't. So he'll be the favorite. I have him in my exacta, but I think he's very vulnerable. I think this race is really tough. I think this is a more honest race than the Derby was. There's very few pretenders in this race. They're all here to win. And in the Derby, what do you get? 8, 9 pretenders, horses that probably don't even belong in the starting gate.
All right, so Baffert, he's the favorite with Improbable. Don't count out the coach, the Hall of Famer D. Wayne Lucas. He pulled off the upset with Oxbow back in 2013. He has a long shot today with the 6 Market King with the veteran rider John Court. And how about Steve Asmussen? He won the Pimlico Special yesterday. He has the 11 Laughing Fox. This horse well-bred by Union Rags. A big win last out at Oaklawn against Stakes Company. Laughing Fox could be coming late here for the Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen.
You know, last year, no one gave Tenfold a whole lot of consideration either. I did. I had him on top, I might add. However, this horse comes in.
A year later it worked, right?
Yeah, well, a year later it worked. It worked yesterday. But that's absolutely right. I mean, this horse could come in here and run a good race. You know Steve Asmussen knows his way around the shed row. So this horse scares me a little bit, and he's going to get a good price.
Very quickly, I know we're running out of time, but you have to mention another Twist of Fate as well.
Sure.
And that's the type of race that this is. We all landed on our prospective winners, but you really can make a case for so many different horses in this race, and that's what's going to make you get some value and have a really good betting race. This one won the Win and You're In the El Camino Real Derby, but he backed that up with good performances in 2 graded stakes at different tracks.
He's never been worse than second going a route of ground. He's by Scat Daddy, who was the sire of last year's Triple Crown winner, Justify. Scat Daddy, he died, but he was turning into a major league sire before he died. So the 12, another Twist of Fate. He's live. 13 horses in the middle jewel of the Triple Crown, the biggest Preakness since 2011. We've covered just about everybody in the race. We have one more race to get to. Good luck in the Preakness. Let's just put up our picks, guys, for race 14. I know we're out of time. It's a nice maiden special weight, 3 and up, going 6 furlongs. I go with the 3, Glory Song, on top with Trevor McCarthy.
I take the 2, NK Tour for Grey Emotion off the layoff, hoping this one improves second time out.
I concur, Stan.
All right, good stuff. Great show, guys.
Great
We're
show.
out of time. Thanks to our whole TV department for helping us put this together. Dave Rodman, he's coming up next with Scratches and Changes. Have a great Preakness 144, everybody.